Saturday, spinny Saturday edition of the Best Bet Show, presented by our fine sponsor at BetRivers. That's right. Fly those propellers. I left mine back in the friendly confines of Chicago. I'll be the black sheep literally today, but hey, still hope to give out some winners, some locks. Again, thank you, BetRivers, for making this all possible, and our fine overlords at Field of 68. I'm Matt. I'm running point tonight, flanked by Kai and Jim per usual. We usually do takeaways. Jim, I know you have something profound you want to say. Me and Kai will abstain so we can get right into the outline. And then, of course, the most meaty section of today's show, a flurry of chat about questions. Jim?
Yeah, not extremely profound. But Matt, do you think maybe your best bet struggles have been because you just said no thanks to your spinny hat? Do you think maybe that's a little bit of karmic retribution?
There's a lot of issues underneath the surface of my best bet demise, Jim. Trying to unpack what the actual main driver is, but that could be one of them. Yeah, I could be, maybe I need to be a team player, not on my own island.
My takeaway was just Thursday night, Murray State, South Dakota State, both got huge wins, both remain undefeated in difficult mid-major leagues to go undefeated in. No one's ever done it in the Summit. I think it's only been done thrice in the OVC. So pretty impressive stuff out of those two squads. Could be very dangerous in a month.
No doubt. Kai, go ahead.
I didn't watch basketball yesterday, which was great, but I went to the Illinois-Ohio State game. That was awesome. Underwood got ejected. It was sweet. The atmosphere was dope. Lots of crowd noise. It was sweet, man. I loved it a lot. Illinois has a really cool arena. Matt, that's my takeaway.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm a big Roundhouse structure fan.
It's really cool.
It's not quite the true. I think Wichita is the true Roundhouse when I think about Roundhouse environment. Sorry, Illinois fans. I'm sure I just offended many of you with that take. Let's get into it. A lot of good action here today. Speaking of hype, dope environments, Kai, Waco will be one for sure as they host Kansas. The Jayhawks are coming to town, and revenge will be on the mind of Sikkim after the Jayhawks bludgeon them in the first meeting. Key theme with a lot of these key games today is injury question marks on both sides. And this one, it's more one-sided. LJ Cryer and Adam Flagler for Baylor. Kai are the key notes here. We have heard that Cryer's a game time decision, while Flagler is going to be a full go. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, first game, real quick. Kansas crushed Baylor by 24. It was an eye-popping performance. I think the real crazy stat is Baylor was 14 for 44 inside the arc. Could not score. In this game, Matt, I'm kind of more worried about JTT being out. Baylor still has size with Flo Thamba, but that's one less big man to combat David McCormick. Now, does that matter that much? This is going to be an awesome environment, Jim. Baylor plays great at home. KU has been soaring high. I'm a little bit tempted to take them as a dog, but I'm not sure I want to fade the Baylor environment, even if Cryer's out of the lineup.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of shade thrown at Baylor's home court. I think from people in the media that it's not quite as hype as maybe some of the Big 12 spots, your Texas Techs, your Kansases. But I do think it'll be pumped today. And I think the revenge angle matters a little bit for Baylor. Flagler being closer to full go is huge. And if Cryer is able to get out there, that's just another 45% shooter. I sort of lean towards Baylor. I don't want to lay anything over 3, though. So 3.5, it's just a hard stay away. Going to enjoy this one. But I don't know. I guess I could see if you wanted to step in on Kansas plus 3.5. It's just not for me, Matthew.
Yeah, Jim, I'm looking at the data from this year, and I know looking at a 1-year sample from a home court perspective is a little bit dicey, but Baylor is a net 4.5. They have a net plus 4.5 cover margin between their home and road splits, which is 54th in the country. So I think the home court's pretty strong. And I can guarantee you when Kansas comes to town, given the history, you go back to that year when it was KU, was it 2 years ago? The KU Baylor run for the title race. Yeah, that'll be a hype home crowd. I think getting Flagler back is enormous, even without Cryer guaranteed. I would lean Baylor. Price does feel pretty sharp, though, at -3 at most shops right now. All right, we're going to SEC country, Kai. Speaking of where the best home courts in college basketball reside, and then within the SEC ecosystem, but maybe the best in the entire country. They are hosted Kentucky. Speaking of big key injuries here, obviously the two for Kentucky, Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler, both dicey for today's game. I'm kind of with you, though. I don't know how you make Arkansas a 3-point favorite here. I know Jim's going to go the other way here, but I think we're going to zig against our Jimmy Zag.
Well, yeah, just like Kansas, it's kind of tempting to take Kentucky as a dog here, but I'm not really interested in fading home Arkansas, who is 10-6 against the spread. More importantly, Arkansas lately, 9 straight covers, 12-1 against the spread last 13 games. They're firing on all cylinders. they actually have a chance to move into second place in the SEC. They'd be tied. I think they have a tiebreaker if they win this game, which is crazy compared to where they started the season. Washington Wheeler, I think, being out, Jim, is huge if they are indeed out. Yeah, they handled LSU, but on the road at Arkansas with their length, their quickness on the perimeter, that's going to be an issue. And can Jalen Williams cause problems for Sheboy if he plays the 5, pull him away from the basket? That probably cuts both ways on both ends there. But I think Arkansas has the juice to cover this game.
Yeah, Sheboy's going to get his. I think that's kind of generally accepted. Every game they play, he's going to have 13 to 15 rebounds. Scoring wise, maybe not as efficient. Arkansas, I've been really impressed with their defense. They've been especially potent on the perimeter, a little more switchable than we anticipated. I think the defense has been really, really good. They're pesky, top 15 in the country per KenPom. So this was 2.5 before the show, but I'm going to still stick with it. Arkansas -3 at BetRivers. Best bet for me. Kentucky has crumbled multiple times on the road without Wheeler and Washington. There's a chance they both play, but there's also a chance neither plays. And I think that's worth the gamble. Even if they're in there, maybe there's some shakeups with trying to get them reinvigorated into the lineup, reintegrated. That's probably the better word. But I like the Razorbacks at home. Kentucky has been flying high, but I just think going on the road without those guys is really different than getting some wins at Rupp with them or without them. So Arkansas -3, best bet for me, Matt.
Yeah, Jim, I actually see it 2.5 in my BetRivers account per the Arizona site. So,
all right, I'll take that. -2.5.
I think I'm going to give you 2.5. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it, folks. So well done.
He gets 2.5. Boom.
He gets 2.5. Decided. Bang,
Gavel.
scavel.
Bang.
Hey, another point in Jim's favor here, just Jordan Majeski, the GOAT insider of college basketball on Twitter, just got word that UK Insider confirms Wheeler is trending in the right direction. So sorry, that goes against Jim's take. But hey, maybe he plays and he forces it. Is hurt and actually is a liability. And Ty's more important. I agree with Jim. Yeah. All right, Kai, we're staying in SEC country for our third game of the outline, down to Rocky Top, where the Vols have been, I would say, a wagon this season. All of their big victories have come in the friendly confines of Thompson Bowling Arena. They're playing Auburn, an SEC team who has been following that same trend of home road chasm splits. I lean Tennessee here. There's some key injuries up front. I know John Fulkerson is dicey with the hip. Puts a lot of onus on Mr. Adu, the physical specimen who's been asked to do a lot for Rick Barnes recently. Can he withstand the interior fortress that is Walker Kessler?
This is the third straight game, Matt, where we have a team that's better on the road that I'm tempted to take as a dog. But Auburn on the road, lost to Florida, lost to Arkansas, beat Georgia by 2, beat Mizzou by 1, 3-6 against the spread this year.
Bad road team.
They're a bad road team. Unfortunately, I don't know why. I hope that doesn't carry on to the tournament because I really think they're good on a neutral floor, Jim. I take them probably to my Final Four once that bracket comes out. And Tennessee's good at home. We saw them dismantle Kentucky last time in Knoxville. I also think this Tennessee team's kind of flying under the radar. Top 35 in offense now in KenPom, number 4 defense. Auburn, Jim, like I said, they're tempting as a dog, but those road splits have me staying away.
Yeah, I like Tennessee. I almost considered adding them to the SEC best bet slate here, but didn't quite go that far. Auburn's just bad on the road, Kai. I have a theory as to why. It's because their guards are kind of boneheads. They can be really exciting, but they're volatile. Wendell Green, Katie Johnson, they play with such extreme confidence that sometimes that confidence leads to bad shots. So you get Kessler every single game, but sometimes you don't get enough touches for Jabari Smith offensively because of the guard confidence, because of the way teams are starting to game plan against Auburn. They can't feed off the crowd energy the same way. Like Katie Johnson gets a turbo boost anytime the Auburn Arena crowd erupts, and he's not going to have that here. Vols undefeated at home this year. I definitely lean towards Tennessee, just not quite willing to lay that number, man.
Yeah, I think the price is like a point too high for me to lay it, Jim, but I definitely am that way. I actually kind of think the angle of playing in an up and down type of game, if Auburn dictates the frenetic pace, sort of helps Zakai Ziegler and Kennedy Chandler, who I think sometimes are kind of caught into like this rigid, bogged down half court offense that Rick Barnes wants to run. It's like, let those dudes loose, man. They're so dynamic in space. Looked really, really tight for space, especially in that Arkansas game at Bud Walton. Last game here on the outline before we get to chat mob round 1. Jim, you're going to leave this one off here. Michigan State, Sparty hosting Purdue. Everyone and their mother seemed to sniff out the stinky line on this one, hammering Purdue at the opener. It's been bet up to, I believe, 5 now. Purdue laying 5 on the road. there's just not a lot to like about the way this Michigan State team is trending. Although you can make the argument that Michigan State catching 5 at home is a pretty cheap price. I'm not going to. And I've been the token Sparty defender all year. What do you see here?
Yeah, I just think Sparty's not very good right now. Talent level's not there. The rotation is completely discombobulated. They have no idea who's going to be playing well and playing significant minutes from a game-to-game basis. That is a tough way to go in against the Purdue team that I think is surging a little bit. They're playing better. Jaden Ivey getting the keys when they go pick and roll has been really lethal. At 3.5, Kai, I would have considered Purdue, but 5, I think the market has put it up maybe closer to where it belongs with the way Michigan State has been playing lately. They've lost 5 of 6. They are really in a rut right now. I'm not willing to jump in front of the train with Michigan State, Kai.
Yeah, I mean, they've been terrible. You said they've lost 5 of 6. They haven't covered in 6 of their last 7. So it's both ATS and straight up. Michigan State is looking awful. Purdue, I was surprised, 0-4 against the spread their last 4. And we know they're not super great, or at least not as great away from Mackey, ATS-wise. Purdue's issue is defensively, though. And I'm not sure Michigan State, Matt, can take advantage of that, can exploit that, because their offense is not very enticing. They don't really have a guy who can play the 5, pull Edey/Williams away from the hoop. And if they do play a guy like Hall at that spot, that leads to defensive issues on the other end. Purdue's going to crush the glass. I mean, that's a fact. And they should score a ton. I'm not sure I can back Michigan State here, even at 5, even at home.
Yeah, you mentioned Hall. I think he's the X factor, but it reads like he's playing hurt right now. So he's a shell of himself, and you certainly can't trust him at less than 100%. Can you mention the Purdue less than stellar play on the road relative to odds makers' expectations? They are minus 3.9 against the spread cover margin away from Mackey. So I like when the data backs up the anecdotes, guys. It's always fun. Hey, it's time for chat my round 1. Who is my czar? Oh, wait, I know who it is. It's Kai. Take it away.
It's not Jim. Kai. What?
It's not Kai. It's Jim.
How did you get that wrong?
Airball.
50-50 shot.
Matt's been flipping roulette. Coins poorly all year.
All year. Tails.
All right, let's start with Pat Taylor's best bet. Surprised it's not on the outline here, but it's a big game. Oregon minus 4.5 hosting USC. I agree with it. I think the Ducks get the win. Boogie Ellis might be out for this one again. Isaiah White might be out for it again. It's been bet up. It was 2. I wrote this up for picks wise, and it was 2 last night. It is now
up to 4.5. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, it's steep, but I would still lean towards Oregon, guys. What do you think, Kai?
Yeah, a bit steep. But with those injuries you mentioned, and a USC team that I frankly don't think they're that great. I know their record's impressive because it's always impressive, but I don't believe in this team once again. Broken record, Kai.
All right, Matt. Austin P under. Scott Craig is asking about the over. The team has bet it up. This is not my best bet under today, guys. The Austin P Eastern Illinois game, I considered it. It was almost my best bet under of the day. It's not. Matt, what do you think on the total there?
No take. I mean, I think you guys are probably going in the right direction here. It's worth noting that without Kawan Clements, Eastern Illinois is kind of helpless on offense. They basically have no point guard, not that they had much fun to begin with. So I guess you could make a case that helps the under even more than the already, decrepit offenses that both team boast, especially Eastern Illinois. I guess I lean that way. Sure.
Eastern Illinois 8-20 to the under. Austin P 6-18 to the under. So two of the biggest under teams in the country.
Weird that it's getting bet up. Kai Lante S asking about 3 different -3 or so bets he's got. Radford at NC A&T is the first one. I agree with him here. I like A&T a little bit. -3 at home. Anything for you on that one?
Yeah, I do too.
Good. Matthew, Seton Hall at Xavier. This is next one. The Xavier, who is also, like Michigan State, lost 5 of their last 6. Do they right the ship against the Pirates?
Torn on this one, Jim. What's the status on Nate Johnson? Is there anything official? I think he matters.
Nothing official yet.
I kind of want to take Xavier here at home, but I wouldn't bet unless he plays. I think he matters a lot. From the guy who says injuries don't matter, I think they need his shooting. Will inside out balance that offense.
All right, Kai, you get Bedlam. Lante likes Oklahoma at home, -3.5, taking on Oklahoma State. What do you think here?
I lean that way, Jim. Obviously, it's a huge rivalry game. Anything can happen. But OU, I mean, their season, it's on the line right now. They have to win this game. They lose, their tournament hopes are pretty much done. They're already pretty slim as it is. So -3.5, I'm leaning towards Sooners.
Yeah, I have a hard time figuring that one out. I'm not certain. From Matt Akers, Matthias, Virginia Tech at Miami, Florida. the home team is in the tournament right now. The away team is trying to get in the conversation. Do you think the Hokies, who are actually much better per analytical rankings, can get a road win?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think they get high quality shots. There's a shot quality chart that came out yesterday, talks about, showed how efficient the looks they get are and how much they convert them. I do lean Hokies here on the road. But I don't know. It's kind of a coin flip for me. The ACC has been all over the place. It's just a tough conference to read. So in general, I stay away from these games.
Kaya, Pete K asks why the Jacksonville, Florida Gulf coastline is what it is. He thinks it's fishy. Man, I'm inclined to stick with the Dolphins. I don't really care what the line is right now. I think they're still a little undervalued in the market. I think the coaching edge is just monstrously in favor of Jacksonville here. Dunn Martin had 41 against Liberty last game. I think there's a little letdown effort coming for FGCU.
Yeah, the Dolphins are the second best ATS team in the country. They covered 75% of their games. Trends don't mean everything, but I agree. The coaching edge here is huge, Jim, because Florida Gulf Coast should be an awesome team this year with the amount of talent they have. And they're just pretty good. I believe the line, but I lean towards the Dolphins.
Matt, you get another total question. That is UMKC against South Dakota State. Couple folks in the chat like the over there. Are you worried about South Dakota State not having anything to play for? Maybe that slows it down a bit, but there could be just an efficiency bonanza here.
Yeah, it's been bet down from 152 to 150.5. I do kind of lean the over just because I think this game plays like a more apathetic Jackrabbit team like we saw against Oral Roberts, where they don't play much defense to begin with. They really didn't play defense in that game. Maybe a repeat of that. So I lean over, and you get an extra 1.5 of value at this time too.
All right, Kai, you get Stanford at Chattanooga. Scott Craig asked why Stanford's getting 8.5. I tend to agree. I think the numbers are a little low, but Chattanooga has Zippo to play for other than a little bit of revenge against Stanford. They've already lost to them once. So perhaps that's a motivation angle, but to clinch the 1 seed.
Yeah, they got the 1 seed. You could probably see a scenario where they kind of do some load management with given they're not a super, super, super deep team. And Stanford's been playing really well lately. So I'd probably in their way here at 8.5.
Yeah, they got D'Souza back. He didn't play a huge minute load. Maybe he starts to ramp up before the tournament, or maybe they rest him. Like that's kind of hard to read. Mm-hmm. All right, Matthew, your question. Vandy at Mississippi State. Multiple people asking about this one. Austin Rayleigh was the one I got it from. Vandy's been playing better with Mr. Robbins in there, but Mississippi State at home is like legitimately a different team. So
different team. Yeah, it's like the biggest split in the entire country between home and road performance, and Vandy without Chapman, I don't fully trust. It's a big number though, Jim. I don't know if I'd lay, what's the current? I'm trying to refresh my page.
6.5.
6.5. It's too rich for me. I think I'd like it closer to like 5 personally. So stay away. Sorry.
Kai, in the Sun Belt, two teams that don't play any defense. The first game was a shootout. Central Arkansas at Lipscomb. I believe Asajla went for like 35 and 20 in the first game, but Central Arky put up 90 plus. Another over? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd probably lean the over here. You're right. Neither team plays defense, can't stop each other. I probably lean towards Central Arkansas with the points too.
Yeah, Lipscomb just has not impressed me this year.
No.
Matt from Pound It Live, Colgate blew out Navy in the first one. Now they're laying 7 at home. Do you feel this is a road flip-flop and you got to back the water troops, or are you saying Colgate gets it done again?
I don't really want to fade Colgate. They've been just on fire I think they've won 13 in a row or something like that. They just, every time I think they're overvalued, they continue to outpace the odds makers' expectations. That said, Jim, the seed troops, RC troops catching 7, I lean that way, I think, just on a pure price perspective.
Yeah, and Greg Summers missed last game, but not sure if he's going to be back for Navy.
They played fine without him earlier. I know he's awesome, but
I think both teams are locked, but I know Colgate's locked, but I think Navy's locked in the 2 seed because they have the tiebreaker over Boston.
Oh yeah, good point. Yep.
Yeah. Part of me maybe likes the under there. Navy unders have been awesome lately, like 9 in a row or something. Games barely get over 100 points. Kai, from Evan, he might be in attendance for this one. I'm not positive. Alabama hosting South Carolina, fighting Frank Martin's on the road. I don't want to lay points with Alabama, Kai. I don't find them trustworthy. Do you agree?
I agree with you, Jim. And 11 seems high for, a Gamecocks team, Matt, your team. They're coming around. They're playing better. Yeah, I know. As soon as you give up on a team, they start to play well. I'd lean towards South Carolina.
Yep. Lante asks, why is Longwood a dog to Campbell? It's because Longwood has Zippo to play for, too. They have clinched the 1 seed in their league. They I guess could end up tying with Winthrop for the conference title, but they're automatically the 1, which means they host the entire Big South tournament. I could see Campbell being much more motivated here. Stuckey on our other show said that they're still playing for the 4 seed, so they definitely have more to play for than Longwood. I think that helps explain that line. All right, let's do one more for each of you, and then we'll get back to the outline. Matt, another total question. The Paris loves Arizona, Colorado over at altitude. Do you think Arizona's pace continues at that level? And do we see an over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Arizona and Gonzaga too. It's just like betting the unders feels like such a, I would be terrified to bet the unders just from that angle. Like I lean over. Can Colorado control the tempo? I don't think they keep it close. So there's no reason for them to play slow if they're down double digits. I guess I lean over. Sure.
All right, Kai, then you get a big one in the MEAC. Jets Pete,
Great.
North Carolina Central headed to Howard. He liked NC Central. I kind of do too. But the first game was one of the wildest of the entire season. I think both teams had a 98% chance to win at one point in the game. The win probability was nuts. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think these teams are a little closer than the market appears to think they are. So 6 feels like a little bit too much. I lean towards NC Central.
Yeah, got that first game. Looking at the win probability chart is like it's hard to even process.
Sip snap.
Yep. All right, let's go back to the outline. Matthias, you take it over. I will continue logging chat questions. And hey, hit the like button.
Smash it.
Yeah, just.
Well, don't break your keyboard, I guess. But
yeah,
if it registers a like, I don't really care about your keyboard personally. Hey, outline time. It is part 2. Big East country. Creighton at Providence. Man, the Friars. We've had some shade for over discussing the narrative how lucky, quote unquote, this team has been this season. Jim, short favorite against Creighton, a young Creighton team, a banged up Creighton team, I think, again, embodies how little the odds makers and most analytic appraisers in the market feel about this Friar team. Al Durham playing through a sports hernia, not great. And then Jared Bynum, I believe he limped off late, but that was just cramps. So he's going to play today, but he's key. I mean, without Durham, you have to have Bynum in there. You cannot be without one or both those dudes. And then obviously Nemhard's done for the year for Creighton. I think he's the key most recent injury there. A lot to make sense of this handicap. Providence with the Big East title on the line, yada, yada, yada. Where do you sit?
Man, it's hard to figure. I think the Nemhard injury is probably the most overriding factor here. They haven't had to play without him. He's playing over 35 minutes a game as a freshman. That tells you how important he is to that squad. Maybe Andronikashvili can fill in a little bit at point guard, but Kai, I think that loss might be a little too much to overcome. That said, the Friars laying more than 2 possessions, they never win games by 2 possessions. That's unheard of for them. So I'm not willing to lay 5 with the Friars.
The luckiest team in America hosts a plucky young underdog. That's currently 4th in the Big East, by the way. Creighton, fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Providence, yes, they're winning against the spread. 1-3 last 4, 4-6 last 10. This is why spreads are cool, because Providence can lose against the spread, even if they are winning games outright. I don't think Creighton is going to compete without Nemhard. That really worries me. It sucks he broke his wrist. He's so important for them. He's the only true point guard on the roster. Roddy's going to have to run some point now. You have to do it by committee approach. I think that's a big issue. But Matt, Creighton's defense still largely intact. It's the best in the Big East. They really run cheaters off the line. Right, with Kalkbrenner inside, you can funnel guys right into them, into the paint, and it works. And that's got to be their edge tonight. 5 points feels a little bit high, but I don't want to back Creighton without Nemhard.
Yeah, if I'm a Providence fan, I don't really care about the narratives that we're spewing out either. It's like, hey, we're winning games. We're looking like a top 3-4 seed in the tournament. I guess the irony is that they're located in Providence, which is notoriously one of the bigger gambling havens in the country. So they probably care a little bit. I know the Dunk is always a fun place to go root for a spread bet. All right, we're going to
hopefully they've filled in the holes in the roof and we don't get a leaky roof this time after the Xavier game was delayed by dripping water. That was a pain.
Or maybe they reroute those holes to drip in the Creighton side of the floor or something. So it's an extra point of value for
a little water torture, just dripping on them the whole game.
Yeah. Waterboarding would probably be would be a tough thing to overcome. We're going all the way out west for the third to last game on our outline. St. Mary's hosting Gonzaga. Seems like every time these two teams play, the narrative is kind of the same, where even though St. Mary's might be playing well, could be looking feisty. You love Randy Bennett, what he can do as a coach. Just Gonzaga seems to have their number, Kai. I'm at the point now with Gonzaga where I just have 2 separate ratings for them. They play to like 110 when they're in conference, and then out of conference, they're just like 100. They're awesome outside of conference. They're invincible in conference. I'm not fading Gonzaga. I think the line's a little too high. Where do you stand?
Zags laughed at the suggestion of being a mere 10-point favorite over San Francisco. And they're laughing now. Yeah, I have to lean towards Gonzaga. They beat St. Mary's by 16 at home. They're up by 21. They're just unstoppable. They're the best team in the country. It's not that close. There's matchup issues everywhere for St. Mary's. They're going to try to set the pace here. I'm not sure they can. I'm pretty sure San Francisco tried to do that too, and that didn't work out at all. So I'm leaning towards Gonzaga here, Jim.
Yeah, Gonzaga's played 3 games below 70 possessions in league play, 67 against St. Mary's, and it just didn't matter. St. Mary's couldn't score. Like, that's the difference. This Gonzaga team has a really, really strong defense, unless you are reining in perimeter shots, which is what San Francisco did to hang around for a little bit, and then they just kind of ran out of gas. I don't think St. Mary's has that kind of offensive firepower, especially if Dukas continues to be a little bit banged up for them. Tommy Kuzi can run rampant against San Francisco's backcourt, but not against this Gonzaga backcourt. So I am leaning towards the Zags, laying the points, Matt. Like you said, kind of 2 different ratings, and 2 different ratings in terms of motivated versus unmotivated.
Yeah.
And this is the second best team in the league. They're going to be locked in for this one.
Yeah, I said before I hand it off to Kai, I think it's a little too high. But again, I think that's from a pure basic handicapping approach. Gonzaga warrants a different approach. So you kind of have to toss that out, in my opinion. St. Mary's did play them fairly competitively in the kennel. I thought actually did a decent job of controlling the tempo as best you can do. But I don't know. The way the Zags are playing, I mean, that San Francisco game has me terrified. That looks like an historically good team, the way Chet and Drew are operating in tandem up front.
First name basis, huh? I like it.
That's right. I know him well. I like all the players I know well. I call them first name basis. Hey, Kai, Arch Madness is upon us. And the team that will be the number 1 seed will be decided today in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Northern Iowa hosting the Blurs, Purple Panthers versus the Fighting Sister Jeans, whatever you want to call it. Plenty of ways to skin, or a million different ways to hype up this game. First place in the Valley at stake here.
Yeah,
I love both teams. We both love both teams. We all 3 of us love both teams. What's the matchup angle here?
Well, young Kai has a Northern Iowa future to win the league here, so I'm really hoping they can pull it out. I'm nervous though, Matt. Game 1 wasn't close. Loyola won by 27. They were 14 for 27 from deep, which, may not be repeatable, but 21 for 28 inside the arc. It was matador defense by the Panthers in that game. Conversely, UNI was 13 for 34 inside the arc. So hopefully UNI wakes up this game. They have been playing better since then. They've won twice on the road. They beat Most State by 20 at home. That was an impressive effort. UNI, luckily, Jim, for our luck, they have the ultimate weapon. They can get piss hot from deep. AJ Green might be the best player on the floor, could go for 30. Noah Carter's emergence inside has really been something for them. Hopefully that continues. Give me UNI. I'm leaning towards them at +2 here, Jim. Let's cash that futures ticket.
Yeah, lean towards UNI too. I think the line should have been like 3.5, but it should have been closer to like a pick 'em. But then Loyola beat Evansville by 100, and that kind of changed things a little bit. So I don't really buy that. I think Evansville is completely broken, and Loyola was definitely looking to run up the score there smartly, to be clear. Like, they should be doing that considering their bubble position. But slightly to Northern Iowa, but the better team that's still playing for an at-large bid, Loyola. I'm not betting this game other than Kai, like you said. I have the future. I'm hedging with Loyola, basically split position here, 50-50. I didn't feel strong enough either way to tilt my wager towards one side. So
Yeah, I try to get really cute with this handicap and thinking about what I would have made this game at the start of the season. And I would have probably had Northern Iowa as a short favorite.
Yeah.
Obviously, Loyola went to that level close to what they got last year. Northern Iowa struggled out of the gates. Now they're playing better. Austin Fife still a shell of himself. They basically retooled the offense to play without him, right? Smaller, more 3-point shooting, space it out, drive it. Noah Carter's been kind of the key to that. No play for me. Just going to be an awesome basketball game. And I hope you guys cash your purple ticket futures. Good luck to you both.
I don't actually care since either side pays the same for me now.
Oh, that's right. I'm Jim, arbitrage genius, whatever. Okay, Jim. Well, this next one, we all 3 selfishly have a lot on the line monetarily. Wagner going to Bryant. Got millions of dollars. Let's not undersell how much money we have on the line here. Big game here in the end. I kind of hedged. I should have hedged more. Anyway, Bryant is hosting Wagner. Handicap's very simple for me. KenPom has this as a Wagner 1-point victory, but KenPom is not accounting for the impact of Elijah Ford and how Wagner has looked much more vulnerable the last few weeks without him. Bryant, on the other hand, has been nothing short of a juggernaut. And I think Bryant smacks them tonight. I'm considering adding this as a best bet off the hip just because my gut is screaming at me that Bryant wins with emphatic fashion. Am I going too crazy, Mr. McCann?
No, I think it's Bryant's game. You're right. Wagner's not the same without Ford. I mean, losing to Fairleigh Dickinson was pathetic. Like, I know FDU hit a bunch of shots, but you cannot lose the worst team in the conference if you're playing for an outright 1 seed in the tournament. It's crazy. Bryant, Jim, they're on a different planet right now. They're 10-2 against the spread the last 12. I'm not sitting in front of them. I think they get it done here at home.
Yeah, these teams are in different classes now. Wagner's whole thing is like toughness and grit, but that doesn't matter if you can't score with Bryant. And without Elijah Ford, they can't score with Bryant. That is an issue. Mm-hmm. Peter Kiss has scored 30 plus in 6 straight games. He's now the nation's leading scorer by more than a point, guys. Like he has completely separated himself. It's probably Bryant for me. I love Morales. I love Will Martinez, but there's not a lot of depth to that Wagner squad now. Price Noel he's broken. The replacement of Elijah Ford is not working out well for them.
Oh.
Definitely feels like Bryant's game for me.
Yeah, I think Rutgers could use Peter Kiss, former Rutgers transfer. But hey, I guess they're just playing pretty well without him. Yeah, I love Bryant here. Nothing really else to add. That concludes the outline. Let's go back to Chat Mob, round 2.
We are bordering on 40 questions, guys. That tells you how quick you need to be.
We got 14 minutes till tips, baby.
Yep. Kai from J Rush, Lamar at Tarleton State. What do you got?
Lean Tarleton because I hate Lamar. Boom, done.
Yeah, Lamar stinks. Scott Craig, UNC Wilmington at Delaware. I think it's a little big. Wilmington still in play for the 1 seed in that tournament, the conference title. I think they hang around at Delaware. Matthias, also from Scott Craig, Weber State at Northern Arizona. Weber has struggled lately. Yep. Does that continue?
Yeah, they're in a free fall. I like NIU at home. I think they have a good home court there at the Sky Dome. You've been there, Jim. You've been there in person. You know what that's like. I think Weber's a fade team right now.
Kai, in the ACC, Joe Gunderson asking about the NC battle. UNC at NC State. Do you think the Wolfpack wake up for this one?
I do think they do. I lean towards NC State here.
All right. No, we'll go to Matt here. Actually, we'll go to me. From Fondell, Moorhead at SIU Edwardsville. Here is my best bet under, ladies and gentlemen. We found it. It's like a needle in a haystack. We're searching for it, but under 130.5 in this one. Edwardsville's been a great under team without Rayshawn Taylor. Moorhead is a terrific defensive team. I think this one should avoid overtime. It's a 10-point spread. Maybe we won't get overtime. That'd be great. But I like the under there. Best bet under 130.5. Matthias, talk about your Bonnies. They're heading to St. Joe's. They need big wins to get into that bubble picture. Do they blow out the Hawks?
It certainly feels that way, but the market smashed this up to 7.5 right now. I almost think it's too big. I almost want to go the other way at this price, honestly, but I'm not going to because I know St. Joe's does not guard anyone and couldn't guard us 3 and 2 ghosts.
Yeah, I love the way Bonnies are playing right now. I think the 5 seniors have kind of dialed it in, so I still lean their way. Kai, another question from Fondell. South Florida at Cincinnati. Is this as simple as fade South Florida?
I lean that way, yeah. 12 seems like a lot of points for Cincinnati, but it's South Florida. They suck. I would lean towards the Bearcats.
Yeah, they're going to force them to shoot, and South Florida cannot shoot.
Bet down. Who's betting South Florida? Why, folks?
Matt, a 2-pack from J Rush here. Air Force at New Mexico. Tough one to figure. New Mexico's much better at the pit, but Air Force is much better as a dog. Do you have a side on that one?
No, stay away. I don't like New Mexico as a semi-large favorite, but I think they could run circles around Air Force's poorest defense right now. So no take.
Yeah, it feels weird. They're such an ISO scoring team playing against the zone. I don't know if that really works out well for them.
That's true. The matchup's not exactly ideal. That's a good point. Fair.
Tough. Kai, the other one from J Rush, Tennessee State at Belmont. Belmont just got whooped by Murray. So maybe there's some revenge factor, but I don't think they have anything to play for in terms of seeding. Meanwhile, Tennessee State kind of does, but Belmont is a big fave against the bottom dregs of this conference. I usually like them.
Especially a dumb team like Tennessee State. They're going to run with them. I think Belmont's going to score it well. So I lean towards Belmont.
Yeah. All right, Matt, 2-pack from Ryan Abramowitz. Miami, Ohio at Toledo. Do the Rockets continue to destroy teams here? Or with Delonte Brown back, do the Red Hawks hang around?
Yeah, I lean Miami at the opener, but it's been bet down pretty heavily. It's at 11 now, so certainly not going to rush into Fade Toledo. I've been enrolled in Fade Toledo Anonymous a few many times, so tired of relapsing. Jim, what was the second one? Sorry.
I didn't say it because I'm giving it to Kai.
Yes.
Colorado State at Utah State. Late cap here. David Roddy on the road. You trust him?
My number says you should bet Colorado State. My heart says Utah State gets it done at home.
Yeah, they got Brock Miller back last game. Maybe that starts to trend up for them, having another shooter out there. Matthew, in the Big Sky, Eastern Washington at Sacramento State. Sacramento State just actually won a game by a lot against Idaho. Eastern Washington's definitely the better team. I don't know. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, what is it? A 5-point spread currently? Or Eastern Washington lane 4.5. Yeah, I think that's about right. I no take for me here, Jim. I guess I lean EWash. I think I've been higher on them than most people have this season. So it could just be a stubborn Matt gut play for me.
Josh Garrett wondered about the Butler line. They're at Marquette, getting about 8. Kai, I actually lean towards Butler. I just think with Hodges and Enzi, they're a different team. Decent, feisty dog. Don't love Marquette as a favorite. So my lean was to the Bulldogs there.
I think Marquette, simply because the first game was such an anomaly for Butler. It was their highest points per possession since they played Chaminade in the Maui Invitational. It was a complete out-of-body experience. I don't think they're going to do that again. So I lean Marquette.
All right, Matt, the Badge heading to Rutgers. Are they going to have the House of Horrors experience at the rack?
Yeah, you know how this goes, right? It's the same movie every time. I think Rutgers wins. It's 2.5. It's been bet up to 2.5 from 1.5. I think if you can buy the hook down to 2, Maddie buy hooks. That's my recommendation as Kai and Jim shake their head.
Yeah.
I think Wisconsin wins outright. Take Wisconsin money line. Rutgers won at Wisconsin.
Man, how many times has buying the hook helped you this year?
Hey, it's helped me twice in the last 2 weeks. I'll have to do the math. I'll present my findings after the season.
I think that's bologna sausage. Kai, from Chris Malicki, William and Mary at Hofstra. William and Mary scored 28 points last game. Hofstra lost by 30 to Elon. What do you do with this game?
It's 17.5 points. I'd probably take William and Mary. The value is on the dog.
Yeah,
per usual.
I would lean the same way.
In this conference, yes, large dogs. I agree.
Matt, Chris's other question, Denver at Western Illinois. I kind of lean towards the Pios. I don't think the Leathernecks have been very good this in conference play. They were awesome in non-con, but haven't trended the same way in league play. What do you think?
I'm looking at Denver's home road splits. They actually have not been that bad away from home this season. I would lean the Pios too, Jimmy.
Yeah, suddenly they're well coached and can be competent.
Shocking. What a wild concept. A good coach.
All right, Kai, from Joe, a big one in the Big 12 didn't make the outline. Texas heading to West Virginia. Mountaineers are pretty much on their last legs and maybe need to win out to be in the NCAA tournament. But Texas, I don't really trust them on the road. Did they get it done?
I think Westphal is a bit broken. I think Texas can overwhelm them. I lean towards the Longhorns.
Kedron Johnson likely out today. Kind of need your point guard. Yeah,
your dude, Kedron Johnson.
My guy, my boy.
Is there point guard?
The write-ups call him that now. I feel like they give him, he brings up the ball a little bit more than he used to. I don't know. Whatever.
Not how I perceive
matters,
but hey, yeah. Chad K asking about UCLA at Oregon State tonight. This one seemed a little high, and Oregon State was feisty against USC, but it was shorthanded USC. Might get shorthanded UCLA. Matt, what do you think? The Beavers keep it close. It's like 13.5 now.
I kind of like the Beavers. Juzang did his ankle again. I think they're just really wounded right now. And the Beavers did get Alatishe back, I think, last game. I'm tired of tracking that team's injuries, but I think he did return and he does matter. So I don't know. If you're at Oregon State, good luck to you, but that's probably the right side, in my opinion.
Deshaun Davis went absolutely nuts last game for Oregon State. Dominated USC. Maybe he does the same. Kai, Max knows best. He likes Yale money line at Cornell. Cornell fighting for that spot in the Ivy tournament. They're neck and neck with Harvard. Yale's been bet up, though. Do you agree with that movement?
I think so. I really do like Yale. I'm not sure they have. Well, they're still jockeying for the 1 seed, which how important is that in the Ivy? It actually could matter this year because there's three top teams are the best teams. Seems like by a wide margin.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't take money line. You're laying a lot of juice there, minus 160-ish probably. So if you like Yale, I'd probably lay the points.
All right, Matt. Maine, they no longer have Richard Barron in charge, but they're getting 11 at UMBC. They actually covered last game without Barron. Do you think they can do so again?
Yeah, let's go Black Bears.
They've been competent in league play.
Black Bear.
They have been. They've been better.
Kind of been impressed with them.
Sorry, that was a bad Bear impression. I won't do that ever again.
It was a good Bear impression.
I'll retire that.
Pirate Bear.
From J Rush, I like this one a lot, so I'll answer it. Seattle at Dixie State. Matt, I love your Redhawks on the road here.
I do too.
They're 14 of 61 from 3 in their last 2 games, or maybe it's 14 of 63. Like they just can't make a shot, and they're a good shooting team. And Dixie State doesn't have the athletes to really bother them. Doesn't have the size inside to take advantage of Seattle's lack of paint presence. So I like Seattle quite a bit on the road there.
They dominated the first matchup too. Final score very misleading. So I agree with you. I like Redhawks there.
Yeah. Matt, right back to you from Chip. Missouri State at Evansville, laying about 14 and a half. Is Evansville just dead without Newton? I mean, they lost last game by 50. How do you back them only getting 13 and a half?
50.
Yeah, the market has just completely pounded Missouri State. It's up to 15 now. And while Missouri State can be Jekyll and Heidi, I just think they're categorically more talented and are at no risk of like a letdown against Evansville. Like, no, I think they pound Evansville.
Matt, right back to you too, just because you love Duke. Sorry, Kai, but he's getting
That's
the Duke
okay.
at Syracuse question.
You can talk Duke.
We've had questions about the side and total, Matthias. Do you have a lean on either one of those?
Yeah, I mean, I like Duke. I think they can attack the zone. I'm tired of the way Coach K is managing rotations. Please play Jeremy Roach more. Please play Mark Williams more. If he's listening, those would be my recommendations. I think 7's too cheap. I would take 7, not a dime higher though, Kai.
Yeah, over. I probably lean towards. I think that'll be up and down. And
Syracuse no total take. Sorry,
Kai, Mizzou, you get to talk about your alma mater. They are headed to LSU. My flag indicates my feelings on this team. I think they stink. I think Xavier Pinson pounds them in a revenge game. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think they boat race them, Jim. I think LSU wins by 1 billion points. Sets a record.
Yeah, LSU could turn Mizzou over like 35 times in this game. Kai, also in the, well, actually not also, extra board, Ryan A. Presbyterian at UNC Asheville. A couple of people were curious about this one. I don't have a super strong take. Do you have anything here?
I don't have a super strong take. My gut says +4 might be a tad high, but I really like this Asheville team. I've been higher on them than the market all year, for better or for worse.
Yeah. Presbyterian as a dog usually intrigues me.
But they're feisty. They're athletic. Yeah, long athletic team.
His other question was Stetson at North Florida. And we don't really know what's going on with North Florida's lineup. Placer and Hendrickson have been out. They played well without them, but then they just got absolutely pounded in a rivalry game by Jacksonville, the juggernaut that is Jacksonville. So I don't have much there. Maybe lean towards the under if those guys are out, but not super strong. Matt Arch asking about Furman and the Citadel over. I believe Furman had like 120 points in the last game. They scored crazy efficiently. I was driving back from Arizona and I checked the score like one time. Holy cow, they have so many points. Do you see the over happening again here?
Here's why I don't. Citadel's recent games have been much lower possession. I think Duggar's experimenting with some zone and it's like deflating the tempo ever so slightly because he's like so like embarrassed by his defense. So I think there's a pace reduction there that does not play well for the over.
All right, we got about 3 more here. Kai, another one in the Ivy League. Max Knows Bets likes Penn. I kind of like him too, but I don't know. Hard to figure.
Yeah, on the road, these Ivy home courts are small, so any home court advantage is not there. So I lean towards Penn as well.
Yeah, I think Dartmouth is still mathematically alive for the 4 seed, but they'd have to leap Cornell and Harvard, which is rather difficult. All right, Matt, does Dayton keep winning by 1 billion points? They're at LaSalle. They've been rolling, really increasing their quality metrics, lurking in the bubble conversation. I kind of think they blow them out, but I don't know. What do you usually like LaSalle more than I do?
Yeah, I do. But I'm kind of sick of LaSalle. They suck. I think Dayton smacks them. The only concern is that it's a young team on the road, maybe get like a shockingly, head scratching, weird effort. So that's my only concern. I think Dayton's the better team by far.
Kai, Tulsa at East Carolina for Max Knows Bets. Kind of the dregs or the bottom dwellers in the American. East Carolina's better, but is the price right to lay it?
I'd probably lean towards ECU at -1.5. Nothing strong though, Jim. It's short, very, very short.
All right, Matt, one more A10 question for you. Davidson, not been great as a big favorite, especially laying double digits. Fordham, been super, super feisty, even without Quisenberry. What do you think on this one?
It's been bet up from 11.5 to 13. I think it's the right move. You got to check on, Quisenberry there. And I don't really care if Foster Lawyer plays, Kai. It's almost like it doesn't matter. But no, I think Davidson smacks him.
And then just seeing Murray State and Southeast Missouri in the chat. Murray off that big win could have an emotional letdown, but they're going for undefeated in that league. I kind of think they're still dialed. They're just on a different level right now. So I'm not going to fade them. And then Tom Williams asked about Clemson at BC. I'm going to hit it in best bets in a second here. But Matt, let's go to you for your best bet.
The boys of Youngstown. I have a lot of action on the Horizon League today in general. There's a lot of good situational spots, but the top 4 seeds having already secured their place for that double bye. Northern Kentucky falls into that mix. I just like Youngstown. It's a team that can mix and match defenses. It's a coach I like that can adapt to the NKU zone. So yeah, I've been fading Youngstown a lot, so it feels good to actually come back around, Kaya, on a team I've lost a lot of money against. I hope they deliver for me now that I'm riding in their corner. So plus 5.5, I think is the current price.
I think you get 6, man. I think
I'll
seeing
take
six
6
at BetRivers.
I'll take 6. Then.
Fantastic.
Thank you, BetRivers. God bless you.
Love it. My turn.
Yeah,
I'm staying the horizon. I'm staying the exact same line, and you're not going to like this, guys.
How adorable.
I'm taking Milwaukee plus 6. Yeah, Milwaukee, the good land, Algonquin for Milwaukee. Yeah. Jim's barfing.
This is the anti-spinny hat play by you.
Illinois Chicago's bad. The last few games, they beat Green Bay by 4 at home. They were taken to overtime by Robert Morris. They lost by 9 to Youngstown State. They beat IUPUI by 3 at home. Not impressive. Jordan Lathon missed last game for Milwaukee. He should be back. It was an illness. I assume he's going to be back in the lineup. And it's a revenge spot. UIC beat Milwaukee at Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee went out right, but I will certainly take plus 6.
Love it. Well, I don't know if I love it, but hey, I wish you well.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Arkansas minus 2.5. We did decide was what we were locking in there. Moorhead, SIU, Edwardsville under 130.5, and BC, Boston College. You get the updated price. Saw -1 pre-show, seeing -1 still. I think they knock off Clemson. PJ Hall likely still out. Hunter Tyson definitely still out. I think BC's feisty enough to win that one. So that is my 3-pack for the day. Hey, that wraps it up, guys. Games are starting.
Did you get -1, Jim? -1?
-1
on BC?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. J Rush, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. I think Western Kentucky wins. Boom.
I like the tops. I'm with you. I like the tops.
Joe DeSimone, VCU. Love VCU. I think it's the same as Bonaventure. They need the big wins, and they blow them out.
Boom.
Well, hey, fellas. Well done today. Ladies and gents, thank you for tuning in. Another Spinny Saturday episode in the books. We're off tomorrow, back on Monday at the usual time. Be sure to check out the Twitter pin tweet. We'll have the schedule updated, but we should keep the timing and schedule fairly consistent with some changes coming down the road when we get into the heart of March. Till that time, good luck to your bets. Come back and join us on Monday.